Greetings everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm your host Captain Ryan. Today's video comes to us courtesy of Chief Oostafish. Chief is playing in the Tier 9 sneaky torpedo boat Japanese destroyer Yugumo here in World of Warships. As the battle gets underway, it's Warrior's Path, it's Domination Match Mode, and Chief is headed towards the B cap point. Also, as the battle gets underway, I'll add in at the beginning of this video that the Yugumo is a destroyer I've never actually played. See, back when I reached the Tier 10 Shimakaze, the Fubuki was still at Tier 8, and the Kagero was at Tier 9. However, I have played plenty against the Yugumo at this point in many a different ship, and I'm fairly confident and fairly familiar with its capabilities. The Yugumo at Tier 9 is a fairly sneaky boat, and as far as the high tier destroyers go, that's anything above Tier 6, with Concealment Expert and the Concealment Module, the Yugumo is the sneakiest and stealthiest of all of the destroyers in the game, coming in at something like 5.4 kilometers. Yes, a whole 0.4 kilometers, almost half a kilometer less than the detection range for the Fletcher. This means this boat can really get out there and spot enemy targets fairly easily. Now, Chief manages to push up into the B cap point, but you'll notice that the B cap point cap counter has stopped going up. This is an indicator that there is something else in this cap with him. The enemy team has 3 destroyers, and some of them are particularly nasty and need to be watched for. Something that the Yugumo is actually reasonably good at is going and spotting some of the destroyers. Of course, you do have to be careful. You don't want to get too close because you simply can't engage in a gunfight with anything other than another Yugumo. Now, both enemy destroyers have popped up here, as you can see. Chief is a little too close to them. He is detected, and he is taking hits in there from them. Now, he's done something very smart here. He's got the island between himself and these destroyers, so he's able to drop off detectability, but you notice his engine's knocked out. But he's definitely got last stand here because he simply hasn't hit his repair ability to repair his engine, but he's still going at a sizable speed. He's still able to maneuver here. This is a skill I highly recommend any destroyer player to have, especially Japanese destroyer players. And I recommend this because you will have your engine knocked out, and if you're not able to continue running away with that engine knocked out, well, you're going to have a bad time, and players like me and the Fletcher are just going to come in and absolutely wreck you. Now, the Yugumo has the same turret configuration and setup as the Shimakaze, which makes it excellent for kiting the enemy because you've got more of your guns pointed to the rear than you do forward. Plus, as you run away, you can effectively just lead the enemy on. Now, you can see shots coming in there from the headland of that island. Just beyond that, that of course is going to be one of the destroyers, and both of them are still in that cap point. Now, Chief decides he's going to abandon the B cap point, and that's a wise decision at this point. You can see on the minimap he really doesn't have much in the way of support back over here. Most of his team has gone to A or to C. Now, C is completely secured, and with most of the enemy team pushing B and A, the people who are headed towards the C cap point really at this point need to kind of redirect their course and head towards the B cap point. Especially if you utilize the Yugumo with its very low concealment, you can really get up there and spot all of these ships and allow the big guns and the cruisers in the back to just continue wrecking them. And when you're talking about gunboat type destroyers, especially the Japanese ones, with the Yugumo, you don't really want to use your guns all that often. Not to say that you certainly can't use your guns, but you don't really want to use them, which means you can get up close and continue spotting these guys as they just continuously open fire, meaning that you make them prime targets for cruisers. Now, the enemy team has secured the B cap point. They have killed one ship, But Chief's team has also managed to kill one of the destroyers, so right now he's got a destroyer advantage. He's got torpedoes out, and he's actually managed to connect with several of them on one ship, but he was focused on something else, so we didn't get to see what ship he killed there. But it's excellent that he's able to take out some of those enemy ships, and the enemy team is now down to just one destroyer. This really leaves the destroyer advantage with Chief's team. Now, Chief has lost more players on his team. That's going to give the enemy team a slight points advantage here, especially considering that they are challenging at A. But, as I always say, the team that gets the destroyer advantage early on like this usually goes on to win the game. And it's all about how you manage to play and how intelligently your destroyer captains play. On top of that, there are still cruisers to worry about. There are still a number of ships that do need to be worried about here. And as you see here, as he pushes up into the sea cap point, he's being detected by radar. Now, I'm not entirely sure why this Missouri decided he was going to radar, but he did. And so now he's being detected here. And he's actually taking shots in from the secondaries from that Bismarck. So that radar is incredibly effective, and that's something you do have to think about as a destroyer player. You need to pay attention to the enemy team's list. You need to pay attention to what ships have radar, are likely to be carrying them, but equally important, what ships are more likely to also carry radar. Ships that have the potential. Things like the Minotaur, things like the Neptune. Yes, they have a smokescreen, or they can have radar. So you need to pay attention to those ships as well as potential radar carriers, and play accordingly until you see them utilize a smoke screen. And then you'll know. Now, Chief does a very smart thing here when that radar pops up. He turned away. He opened up that distance. He opened up that distance, which worked out really well for him, because it meant that the secondary dispersion on that Bismarck was greater. Should anybody have actually decided to shoot at him, it also meant that he could more effectively dodge as those shots came in. He could change course and direction, plus RNG's dispersion pattern would have resulted in a wider spread that came down on him, so it wouldn't have been as dangerous. Now, the enemy team is in the process of capping C as well. At this point, this means that the enemy team has control of one cap point, but they are also challenging the other two. And as a result, Chief's team is not going to gain any points. That means they have to kill things in order to gain points. And right now, the enemy team is up on points because they're up on kills. And unfortunately, Chief's team, which had the destroyer advantage, has now completely lost their destroyer advantage. It's now down to just Chief in the Tier 9 Yugumo. And while the Yugumo is certainly no Fletcher, it is definitely a capable ship. As we see here, he manages to connect with a massive amount of damage onto that Missouri. But that needs to be followed up. He needs to coordinate with his team, flag the target. You know, I have my, I think it's an F3 key that flags the target, but I have mine set up on my gaming mouse, just one of the random buttons, so that I can just point and click. It makes it very easy to flag targets that you absolutely want to focus fire. And this allows you to hit an enemy ship like Chief did with those torpedoes and then flag him. Tell your team, hey, this guy's really low health, finish him off. Especially if they're tunnel visioning and they don't pay attention to other priority targets or targets of opportunity. Now, the enemy team has managed to secure the A cap point, but they've been driven out of the C cap point. So at the very least, Chief's team is going to gain some points right now. They still have one destroyer left. Where that destroyer could be and how much health he's got left at this point is unknown. He could be anywhere. The team has effectively been driven out of A, and they've lost a lot of ships trying to defend at A. At this point, they need to decide what they're going to do. They can cluster up like they have, which is sort of good, but they're very far in the back by comparison. They need to decide which cap they want to push. And my best advice would be to go and push the B cap point, because it's in the center. He gives him the opportunity to wheel over and flank at A, or possibly defend B. And if you send the Yugumo in first, the Yugumo can provide excellent spotting in this case. Now, Chief Oostafish is going to go ahead and he's going to head towards the B cap point. Simply because at this point on the minimap, it kind of appeared that there wasn't much in the way of enemy ships over there. So he could get in there, being a sneaky torpedo boat, and effectively challenge that cap location and prevent the enemy team from gaining a more substantial points lead. And they do have a points lead. And so long as his team is able to continuously kill ships, the point situation is going back and forth. Now as he pushes up into the B cap point, you'll notice he's detected, and he's being detected by radar or hydro. Now it's entirely possible that that is just straight up hydro, but you can see he's being targeted, so whatever has the hydro knows full well that he's here. But he also knows full well that there is a ship that's back behind this island. It's preventing him from capping. So he's got his speed boost up, he's coming up fast, but this is important to pay attention to. You are detected, so you can assume that the enemy is going to have their guns pointed your direction. And as we can see here, this guy is trying to back up fast. He's trying to get out of the torpedo situation, and he's going to go ahead, he's going to open fire. Those shots do hit, but German battleship dispersion, fortunately, don't cause as much damage as they could have had. And they were definitely all over penetrations. Now he's getting shots in from behind, it looks like. And I'm not sure where those shots are coming in exactly. They could just be overshoots from the Bismarcks and secondaries. But torpedoes managed to connect. In this case, one set probably would have been enough, but just like me in the Fletcher, I've been burned too many times by doing just one set. So 2 sets away, it's okay. Look how fast these torpedoes reload. They are very, very quick reloading torpedoes at just under, or just over a minute here. This means that the Yugumo incredibly dangerous with that torpedo reload. You can get those torpedoes off and away. Now the enemy destroyer has popped up there. He's very low health. He's detected, so hopefully his team can focus and finish him off. You'll notice briefly there another ship popped up who was also incredibly low health. Chief gets his shots off out at that destroyer. Doesn't connect, fortunately though, not being detected at this particular moment, which is good for him. But he does have to be careful. There's still an Iowa somewhere around here, and that's when the Iowa pops up. And he has got a lot of health here. A lot of health. But Chief torpedoes are available. He doesn't have a lot of health, and this Iowa could connect with him. And if he connects with him, he's going to probably cause a lot of damage and potentially one-shot him. Now, he gets shots, he gets his smoke screen out here. The Iowa does connect with him, doesn't cause a lot of damage, fortunately thanks to the smoke screen. But Chief has to be careful here. This Iowa does have his scout spotter up. He's probably also going to assume there are torpedoes in the water at him. And he's going to start closing in on the smoke screen. He's going to close in bow first. Manages to connect with one torpedo there. He is located. He's detected. Not sure exactly how he's detected. I'm assuming that's just straight up proximity detection from the Iowa there, getting close enough to the smoke screen. But he's taken out before he can get motoring out and away. That's one of the reasons why I say if you find yourself in this situation, don't pop that smoke screen, don't hesitate. In this particular situation, what Chief Oostafish should have done in the Yugumo, after surviving that initial salvo from that Iowa, close in on him. Close that distance, get right up, point blank to him, and then dump a full set of torpedoes into him and guarantee that kill. Plus, you'll stay alive and be more useful to your team. And the enemy team is capturing the B cap point. They're going to have all 3, and they currently are up on ships and up on points. And there are only 2 ships left on Chief's team. Unfortunately, he's not panning the camera around. If you're going to send me a replay, I do recommend hitting that spacebar or shift bar, going into free cam, and just panning around. Iowa gets taken out but the cap is still being capped at B. That's a very good indicator that the enemy destroyer is sitting in the B cap point. He's also very low health. Enemy ship also in the background. He's trying to run away, but he's got 2 battleships that can see him and are going to pay a lot of attention to him. Chief, unfortunately, did not get the 3rd kill that he so rightly deserved for that Iowa, because that Iowa was taken out by one of the battleships. But Chief did a lot of damage to him, a lot of flooding there, and as you can see, that destroyer is incredibly low health as connections were made. Now, the team can still win this. It's 2 versus 2. There's still a little bit of time left. In fact, there's still a lot of time left at this point, even when you look at the points difference in this situation. So let's break down the analysis here. Both of these battleships need to push up and defend the B cap point. Hopefully, ideally, both of them are going to be shooting at that cruiser or that battleship in the distance there so that they can focus him down to nothing. The other thing that both of these ships need to do, they must do, is they must kill that destroyer. If you want any hope of winning, you have to finish off the DD, especially one that is that low health. In order to do that, the best way to do that would be to come up here, have one ship go one side and one ship go the other side on that island. Because we know he's back there. This way, that destroyer is only able to kill one of you. Well, you can kill one of... Well, you can guarantee the kill on him. And you can hopefully finish off that ship in the distance as well. In the meantime, since the destroyer can't be spotted, both of the ships are getting their shots off of him. This is the advantage to having a battleship survive to the end of the game. Your long-range heavy guns can start wrecking, especially cruisers and low-health battleships that have somehow survived the match. And get those shots out there and just start finishing them. And basically win the game just by killing everybody. At this point, the enemy team is way up on points, and they have a very strong potential to win the game. The only thing that they need to do to win this match is survive. That's it. But you can see this guy isn't very smart because he's still being detected, which means he's still firing his guns. All he has to do is survive. Now, enemy destroyer pops up here right in front of the Yugumo, and the Yugumo secondaries, possibly his main battery, gets out there, doesn't connect with him, but you can see here that destroyer has beached himself, and he's incredibly low health. Now that Yugumo is slamming on his brakes. He's turning hard in because he expects torpedoes. Both of these ships are effectively waiting for torpedoes there, but Yugumo manages to connect with him. Torpedoes coming out there. Yugumo gets hit, but friendly ship takes out that last enemy ship before the Yugumo can sink. So Yugumo survives the battle, and it's a victory based on kill all, no cap. 2002 damage done by Chief Ustafish with a devastating strike at a high caliber. Only 2 kills though, but a good number of torpedo hits, floodings, base defenders ribbons, and a solo capture. Not quite enough for top of the team on XP earned though, only second, but over 2,000 base XP with that Yugumo, by the way, coming in above him at over 2,000 base XP. All in all, a very good ship and a very good battle, showing you the qualities of the ship and good ways to utilize it in game, and why you don't stop playing until it's time to stop playing. Anyway, that's it for today's video, folks. If you liked the video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. If you'd like to get semi-regular channel news and updates, you can do so by liking and following me on Facebook. If you would like to help support me and the channel, you can become my supporter on Patreon. If you've got a replay like this one that you'd like to see featured on my channel, you can send it to my email. And if you'd like to watch me play various games live, albeit sporadically, you can do so by following me on Twitch. You can find the links for all of those in the video description down below. And as always, I'll see you next time. This is Captain Rhyme, signing off.